Hello, and welcome to another episode of Connections Through Creativity. So, the other day, in our last episode, in episode 17, True Inclusion, I made a little promise about coming back to talk about my acronym LEARN, L-E-A-R-N. So, here we are. I talk a lot about learning because that is something so important to me. I it was ingrained in me at a young age through schooling that I could not learn. I was not a very good learner. I was a poor learner. I was a slow learner, and it was very, very difficult for me. But in actuality, learning is so easy for me. I was just presented it in the wrong way. So that's why I love, love, love to share learn. And I use that um, in my courses and to encourage everybody to learn. I also use it in my inclusive community art classes in my community, especially my mental health class. And I start off our mental health class every single time, Tara and I, um, with the very first class is about learning and um, other things as well, but we always start off every session with learn. So, what is learn? L is for look, E is for engage, A is for appreciate, R is for read, and N is for navigate. So I'll go over what each thing means. So first we have look. Now, look is more sensory, so it's not necessarily just looking. It is about with our eyes. It's really just taking in sensory information. So, looking could be just seeing what's around us, um, actually visual. Um, but it's beyond that. It's beyond just seeing what's around us. It's seeing what's outside of our visual, our cultural, and racial norms. We're going outside. How can we create art without first seeing our own environment? So we are going and looking, exploring, see what's around you, see what's not around you. We have the power of the internet. We have the power of travel, not right now because of COVID, but we have that capability of going out, even. And we'll get to this part, the reading, but we have so many tools at our fingertips that we can use to see more, to learn more, to explore more. So looking is about our senses, our touch, our smells, our hearing, our visual. What can you explore? What can you see? And then we engage. So we must act upon our observations to find our own meaning and understanding of life. So we are this is an active participation in what we want to learn and understand. So this is going out and actually participating, or not just seeing from afar, but actually getting involved. So I like this example. This is what art is, right? So this is how we use inclusive community art classes. We use the engagement. The engagement is art, and that's how we apply what we're learning. So we are taking a book. I have a children's literacy book class. We're taking that information and we're applying it to the the art. So how are we going to learn? I love my example about how I taught my son about bees. So last spring, my son was super interested in what bees do, what bees are. Um, and so we went out and we talked about bees. So, well, first I explained to him. I explained what bees are, what they do, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, okay, cool. And the next day he'd be like, well, tell me more about bees. And he didn't remember. And then, so I took him outside and I said, look at the bees. I took him as far as I could go. And then he was like, okay. I get it. And the next day, he didn't quite remember everything. So the next day, we did all of the things. We talked about it. We went outside. We engaged. I mean, we're not touching the bees, obviously, but we watched the bee. What does it do? We followed it for a little while. And then we brought it inside and we drew a picture. So this was real deep engagement. Yes, going outside and watching them, that's engagement, but then we're applying it. We're really deeply rooting that information and engaging with it. So now he knows all about bees. um, and that's the exact same thing that I do in my classes. So then appreciate. Appreciate what we don't understand, what we don't agree with, what we don't like. We must appreciate how, when, where, and why. We don't like everything. That's just, we're not going to. We're not going to like everything. We're not going to want to do everything. We're not going to not want to have everything. Like this is just, it's just not, we all have tastes, right? And it's okay. That's perfectly fine. However, we cannot dis disregard any information that we are getting because it's important to somebody. It's important for historical everything. Like we want to know um we need to know more. We need to understand and appreciate all these different things. So for example, I um rap music's just not my thing, not my jam. I appreciate it and I actually will listen to it and I don't like I have a friend that that will that performs and performs rap and we listen to that. My boyfriend and I we go out and listen to him sometimes, and so I appreciate everything that he does. I love his art form. It's amazing. Just it's just not something that I'm gonna listen to while I'm driving to work. Well, I guess to Cooper to daycare. But and that's okay. But I appreciate it. I'm never going to disregard it. I'm never going to disregard the fact that other people like it and that's their art form. That is their jam, right? Everything, we have to understand that we're not going to love everything. We're not going to, it's not going to be as much value it is as it is to me, but I can appreciate it that it's somebody else's art, that it's somebody else's um, joy, that it's somebody else's history, their therapy, their just their energy. That's what they want. That's what they love and how it was created. So I can appreciate it without actually, needing it. I can appreciate all forms of art even if I don't like to actually make that, or I can appreciate it even if I, don't agree with it. All right, so reading. Reading books just have no end to expand your mind, your life, your job. And our job is to take action, take it into action. So I love to read. Obviously, this is something I talk about a lot. I make and sell bookmarks. I host book clubs. I deeply appreciate reading um, and see so much value in it. But it's not always just reading. And I know there's a lot of limitations on reading, which I talk about in my Rebekah Jane Art bookmarks Instagram and Facebook page. Um, but it's not just reading either. Reading can be in the form of listening. It can be in the form of, podcasts even. It can be in the form of media, like videos and movies. Uh, so but I like to focus on the reading because that's where a lot of our information comes from. But it isn't always accessible. Reading isn't always accessible. So, however, we are taking in textual information. Um, and I would kind of consider this to be almost the schooling aspect as well. So we're sitting down and actively participating in learning about something. It could be a course even. All right. And then navigate. So we must utilize what we give Um, sorry, my cat is like going bonkers right now, so you're gonna hear him in the background. That's Fidel this time. Normally it's Zira. Oh, I think they're both getting involved. Oh no. All right, great time to go crazy. Okay, so back on this. Navigate. Um, navigate. So we must utilize what we have to guide us through our life, help us achieve greatness and satisfaction. So we are all like we're going through life. You can't avoid it, but how are we going to navigate it? Um, so we were watching this show. It's called The Tick, and it's kind of funny, but he's the tick guy. He's falling from the building and falling down, and he's like, "How can we make this an opportunity instead of being scared of falling?" And he grabs onto like a pole. He's like, "Always reach out for every opportunity." He grabs onto it, and it's a comedy, so he ends up and he's fine, superhero. So he ends up falling to the ground anyway, but I like that is almost like optimism, or it is optimism, but it's also how are you going to navigate? Like you can't help that you're falling right now. He was thrown out of a window, and hopefully that doesn't happen to you. But he was thrown out of a window, and he's like, "Well, I can't help falling, so." How am I going to make the most out of this? So he grabs onto something. How are we going to navigate through life to the best of our ability? How can we do that? So, the most important thing that I want you to understand is that we as humans are stagnant if we are not learning, growing, and creating. So, if we aren't actively learning, well, if we aren't learning, then we aren't going anywhere. We're just there. We're closed off. Um, we're avoiding. We don't, we're non-inclusive. We probably unkind. It's very a closed wall, right? So you can't get through that if you are not learning. Because if you're not learning, then it's 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 just very closed-minded, right? So when we are learning, then we have this open exploration, this adventure. We can include people, we can understand and listen. Kitties, jeez Louise. Okay. Um, so always learn, always be open to learning. And then the next step is like active learning. Active learning is when you are using this acronym and you're actually thinking about the fact that you're learning, because you can be passively learning and open to the fact that you can learn, and that's great. That's not stagnant, but it's slower, and that's okay. We can all go at our own pace. We don't have to be, even active learning, you don't have to be fast paced and going and go 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 go. And I find there's ebbs and flows. Like I find I go through a phase where I need to learn a lot, and then I go through ebbs where the learning is very slow. I need a calm, right? So, and that's okay. So that it's not really about the speed of learning. It's just the fact that I'm actively open to learning. So I'm actively open to that ebb and flow. Um, and to agree to the continuum of learning, to actively learn, is to understand that we are personally growing every day. This commitment is to be open to understanding new things, admitting that we could be wrong and we don't know, and then turning it into action and growth. This creating naturally keeps us engaged. So using creativity is a great tool. We can use and apply art or creativity to looking, engaging, appreciating, reading, and navigating. Because when we learn and then we apply it to art, this is the most accessible thing we can do, and everybody can make art. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter how you do it or what you do with it. We we can make and use art to learn and to really apply what we have learned. So I really hope that this encourages you to learn and grow every single day. And I hope that you enjoyed my kitties Zira and Fidel background music. It was lovely, wasn't it? Till next time, bye.